Hello, it's December 18th, 2016, and I am chilling here in Janesville, Wisconsin. It says wind chill advisory remains in effect until 10 a.m. Central Standard Time on Monday. Excuse me. Wind chills of 20 to 30 below zero into Monday morning. Impacts, frostbite, hypothermia can strike quickly if precautions are not taken. So I was looking for school closings. This is the area. Wondering if my grandkids were going to be going to school, and I found this. This is a WCLO radio station, and they have a lot of news on here. And there's only 4 school districts on here, and they're only having a 2-hour delay, which is not good. Last week it was cold enough that they had to do that also. But you have a lot of family members that the parents work, so then they have to arrange babysitting to get through this part and then be able to arrange transportation for them when the whole day would be much better, much smarter in my opinion. But Janesville School District is really, really bad at letting parents know or not wanting to close or delay. And I'll tell you why. This is from the Gazette, which is a Janesville paper, dated 2011 by Frank Schultz. And it says that there are different ways to find out about the school, whether the school will be closed. Twitter will send alerts to those that arrange them, Facebook, um, but it says on here that they will, oh, the rule isn't on here. Okay, but school closing rules. Schools do not close early to avoid incoming snow or ice storms. This policy is intended to protect children who might arrive home before their parents. And then about athletic meetings, practices. When the weather is worsened, cancellations of after-school or evening athletics will be announced by 2. Don't call the district. Blah, 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 blah. So there was a temperature rule. Let me find that. So this is another article from the Gazette from 2014. And it was really cold then, and so it was really difficult for the districts to consider closing the schools. So they talked to different people from each school district, Janesville, Milton, all around, and you kind of get the runaround when you read these, as far as I'm concerned. Closing and delay information will be posted no later than 6 a.m., which is really late for a lot of people that have to go to work and drop their children off and figure out babysitting and what they're going to do. But it says parents always have the option of keeping their child home due to inclement weather. Your child will receive a principal excused absence. And if they miss so many days, then they can start getting arrested for truancy and have to pay fines for that. So uh, there's a lot of decisions that everybody makes, and it seems like nobody, just says, let's keep the children safe. Here's an interesting article from NEA. 4-day school weeks more popular, but impact on students and educators unclear. But they're talking about this Apache Junction Unified District, just east of Phoenix, Arizona, adopted a 4-day school week this academic school year. And then if you want to, the link will be below, but they end up talking about that everybody ends up benefiting from it. It says they are on at all times and they are more engaged engaged and reactive to the lessons. This seems a huge change from the 5-day week, Meyer said. In her traditional schedule, it seemed they were less invested and treated school more casually. So this seems like a great idea. I think about that a lot because I've worked full time and that sucks. I like having time off. I feel better. And I think about the kids being in school 5 days a week, and I think that they would feel better also. But in Wisconsin here, we have a 5-day school day, and there's a certain amount of money in having students going to school that much time, which is one of the reasons why they don't want to call it off for inclement weather. So this is Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction. Here they talk about school days are days on which school is actually taught, and the following days are on which school is not taught. Days on which school is closed by order of the school district administrator because of inclement weather, and days on which parent-teacher conferences are held not to exceed 5 days during the school term. So it's only December, and here in Wisconsin, January and February, sometimes even in March, have really bad cold or snowy days. So they don't want to start out too early, because if they only have 5 days that they can call off. So that's part of the issue right there. So this article in 2014 was talking about a bill that they wanted to pass where schools would have more scheduling flexibility with the elimination of the requirement for a 180-day school year. So then I clicked on bill, and this is where it went. So Wisconsin state legislation, under current law, if the school district doesn't hold school for 180 days, then the state superintendent must withhold state aid from the school district. So there's money that would be lost. Um, so I don't know if this got passed or not, so let me find out. So it looks like it was enacted into law. And what does that mean? I'm not sure. So there's this whole article here, or this whole law, and this part, section 14.121.006, hold school for, and then this part for 180 days is crossed out. But then they have minimum number of hours of direct pupil instruction required. And they talk about online class, for example, and so they're trying to change things up a little, which is very intriguing to me. And this is a link from the Wisconsin Parents Association about homeschooling and how to do it correctly, so you don't get in any trouble, and so your child also gets the requirements met so they can move on with their life, and you can too. And that will be below. So I'm back to this site again for a minute. I wanted to go down to the bottom of this page because I wanted to show you something on here that I think is interesting that I never knew. 4-day school weeks. The number of states with 4-day weeks. 21. And then they talk about how much it saves the school. The pros: students better rested and more encouraged in class. Decrease in absenteeism. More planning and collaborative time for educators. Cons: potential new costs for parents. Loss of wages for support professionals, bus drivers, and food service workers. And reduced access to school services for low-income students. So that's something really interesting as far as I'm concerned too. So then also farther down we have, in this same article, we have people talking about how these people will pay more than $1,500 in child care for their kids because of the 4-day schedule. So there's a lot of issues with this whole schooling thing. Here's a website for grants for single mothers, but mothers aren't the only ones taking care of children. Here's a website for U.S. free government grants and money for anyone from 18 years old and up residing in the U.S. This article by Jamie Gumbrecht from 2015 talks about why schools hate snow days. And then when you go down, it says the forecast can be wrong, number one. Number two, parents hate snow days too. And they're talking about how that whole thing about where they have to pay for childcare for one thing, and how they were getting mad even at the administrator for closing it. And then some people were happy. Thank you for keeping my family safe. Closures can be costly. Storm cleanup to snow removal to staff overtime can hurt the budget in deeper ways, especially if the days off begin to pile up. We do have an obligation to the taxpayer that we are good stewards financially. Day-to-day school attendance won't typically affect school finances, but it can lead to cuts if test scores sink, if students and teachers miss a chance to shine, or if schools can't fulfill a grant obligation based on instructional time. There's a very competitive environment for grant money, foundation money, because of this economy. This is an interesting thought. Students could go hungry or be left alone or get into trouble. Educators know that school might be the only place for students to eat a healthy meal or experience a safe, supervised, warm environment. That's an interesting perspective. Closing school means less time to learn. So here's just a little bit more to read about it, and that link will be below. So now this is an interesting article here from Rochester, New York. How cold is too cold for school? December 15th, 2016. The Monroe County Health Department writes a letter to all local school superintendents with the department's recommendations on when schools should consider closing. The letter says frostbite can occur on exposed skin in about 30 minutes at wind chills of -25. At wind chills of -40, frostbite can affect the exposed skin in as little as 10 minutes. The letter continues, taking everything into consideration to lessen the risk of cold injury to students, I recommend that you use a wind chill of about -25 as the temperature to consider closing schools. And then the link says that you can click here and read more if you want. And here they talk about where you can find out about wind chill more from the National Weather Service. So here we are on the National Weather Service. Wind chill advisory until December 19th at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Right now it's -8 Fahrenheit. Wind chill advisory. So tonight, blah, blah, blah. Tomorrow, sunny with a high near 14. Wind chill values between -15 and -25. So basically what I'm saying is that our family has decided that it'd be too cold for the children to go to school. And I think the school should be closed off. So just out of curiosity, all these little dots on this map are Intellicast earthquakes, which some of them are pretty intense. 6.4. And then over here, there's been an incredible amount. There was a huge one, much bigger than this, yesterday. So would they close schools then? A little article about in the UK, pupils unable to reach school due to bad weather are no longer grateful for 20 to 30 below wind chills.